Hello and welcome to our webinar. We'll go ahead and get started at the top of the hour. We have a few moments. And in the meantime, we've got some slides on the screen, and you can enjoy those as we click through. Welcome. I see we have people joining us. Thank you so much for joining us. We're going to go ahead and get started in about 2 minutes. But welcome to our webinar. This is an introduction to the Center for the Integration of IDEA Data, better known as CIID, Same Roots, New Branches. My name's Audrey Rudick, and I'm joined by colleagues who I'll introduce shortly. I hope wherever you are joining us, you're safe and warm. I know for many of us on the eastern half of the country, we've had some wild winter weather this week, to say the least. We're excited to get going and to help you get to know more about our project and how you can be involved. And we've decided to reintroduce ourselves at this point because we're at the beginning of a new 5-year grant cycle. In this grant cycle, we have a familiar mission to help states integrate their data in order to improve data quality, with an expanded scope to include our Part C partners and lead agencies. We're excited to share this mission and scope with you today and a discussion of where our work is growing and what is staying the same. A few housekeeping items as we get going. We'll have an evaluation at the end of our presentation today. And we'd love feedback so that we can improve our offerings, so please stick around for that. We also will have time for questions at the end. So while we invite you to add them to the chat as you think of them, we'll address them at the end of our presentation. Let's go ahead and get started. As folks are coming in and we're getting warmed up, we have a brief activity so we can get to know you. Please add into the chat if you're new to CIID or if you're returning. What is your organization and state or territory? Maybe add if you're a Part B person or a Part C person, or if you are a technical person, if you're somebody who does the data warehousing or EdFax or works with the CIO. And are you supporting data for Part C, that is support for infants and toddlers with disabilities and their families? Or do you support IDEA Part B data for those students ages 3 through 21? We'd love to hear from you. So please just take a moment to add this to chat. I see we've got a lot of new Part C coordinators joining in. Thank you all so much for joining us. And thank you for joining us from Part B as well. I know that this is a really busy time of year with the SPP APR due soon. So I'm really thankful that you're able to get in and joining us today. Thank you so much for letting us get to know you. We don't want to fail to introduce ourselves. So our presenters today include our center's fearless co-directors, Emily Rang and Kelly Worthington, and one of our developers who is also just a fantastic teacher in all things data integration, Gina Peth. And I, like I said, am Audrey Rudick. I'm CIID's technical assistance lead. A special thank you also to Taylor Hernandez, who's helping out with slides and logistics today. We can move on. At CIID, we're not your only supports, though. We have a whole team of dedicated and talented developers, TA providers, and support personnel who work across a number of companies and who share hats with a number of other centers and organizations. And we'd like to take just a minute to briefly introduce all of our staff, I won't go and list everybody's names here for you, and our partners and partner organizations. Um, an introduction to CIID would not be complete without introducing all of these folks. We have also included the logos of the centers that we work with and who we share expertise with. Many of us wear multiple hats in the realm of IDEA and education data, and a few centers of note include DAISY, the Center for IDEA Early Childhood Data Systems, the Common Education Data Standards, the Rhonda Weiss Center for Accessible IDEA Data, the Privacy Technical Assistance Center from the U.S. Department of Education, and the IDEA Data Center. We'd like to take a moment to thank and acknowledge our fantastic team. And I see that one question, the blue lock logo is PTAC, the Privacy and Technical Assistance Center from the U.S. Department of Education. Of course, of course. So for our agenda today, after the very brief and informal introduction we've given to you to the wider center, let's dive a little deeper. Today, we will discuss the roots of CIID, what is staying the same, and where we have come from as we continue our work from the past 11 years. We will also discuss the branches of our new areas of growth and expansion and how we're thinking about our work for the next 5 years. We'll discuss what this means for you and, of course, how you can engage, and then we'll close with some time for questions and answers. As I've mentioned before, we are a data center and we love our data. So we will end with an evaluation, which will allow you to provide anonymous feedback about our presentation today. And with that, I'm going to hand it off to Emily Vang. Emily?
Well, thank you, Audrey. No CIID webinar would be complete without starting with our mission. So when we talk about CIID's mission, we try to keep it very straightforward because the work is complex enough. At its core, CIID exists to increase the capacity of state education agencies and lead agencies to collect and report accurate and timely IDEA data. That's kind of the through line for really everything that we do. Capacity is really kind of a key component of that here. This isn't about quick fixes or one-time solutions. We're really here to help states build systems and processes that work not just this year, but year after year through staff challenges or changes, system upgrades, and any evolving requirements. So to do that, we focus on 3 connected areas. First, we promote industry standard data system management. This means that we encourage practices and reinforce things that are well established, are widely understood, and sustainable. So things like clear data definitions, documented workflows, governance structures, and things that support consistent data decision-making. Second, we emphasize integration of data systems. IDEA data doesn't live in isolation, and when those systems are disconnected, the work becomes harder than it needs to be. So integration helps reduce duplication, improve data quality, and make information hopefully more usable for you all across programs and across your teams. And third, we focus on streamlining work processes. So this goal is always to reduce unnecessary manual effort where possible, minimize rework, make reporting more efficient and predictable so that you all can spend less time troubleshooting and more time with your data. So that mission is really what anchors all of the work that you'll hear about today. Go to the next slide. So before we talk about what's new, I want to pause and focus a little bit on what's staying the same, because that continuity really does matter. One way we've been thinking about this new grant cycle is as a tree moving through seasons. Over time, the leaves change, new branches grow, and sometimes the tree looks very different year to year. But the strength of the tree comes from its roots, and those roots are pretty steady. So at its core, CIID's purpose really hasn't changed. From the very beginning, more than 11 years ago, CIID existed to support high quality IDEA data, data that states could trust, sustain, and hopefully actually use. This means helping you all ensure that data are accurate, timely, aligned, meaningful, not just for reporting, but for real understanding. And if we think about that tree again, high quality data are essentially the roots underground. And so they're not always visible, but they determine whether everything above ground can grow. When those roots are strong, systems are more stable. When they're weak, everything else becomes harder. So another root that remains really firmly in place is our commitment to reducing burden. So over the years, the reporting environment has not gotten simpler. EdPass, for some of you, maybe wasn't simple. Requirements evolve, timelines are tight, staff turnover is a reality. So what hasn't changed is our belief that states shouldn't have to rebuild the same process season after season. So we're continuing to focus on approaches that help states move away from those manual workflows and towards systems that are documented, repeatable, and more resilient. So again, not just to get through one reporting cycle, but essentially all of the seasons. CIID is also closely connected to another constant, which is that idea of standardization and alignment. We've long centered our work on the Common Education Data Standards and the shared structures from that area, because alignment is what we believe allows systems to grow without creating additional silos or becoming more tangled. So this has primarily previously been through our implementation support of the Generate tool. So those data elements, definitions, and processes, when they are consistent across programs and systems, states spend less time reconciling the differences and more time able to use their data. Compliance is still an important component of that, and the timely and accurate IDEA reporting that matters. CIID has always been grounded in the idea that data are most powerful when you all can use them, whether that's finding patterns, illuminating new decisions, and essentially offers an opportunity for you all to better support children and families. But this is a long-term goal. Building strong data systems doesn't really happen in a single season. It does take time, it takes iteration, and it takes care. Our work has always been about supporting growth that lasts. So as we move into this new grant cycle so that you all can hear about what's growing and expanding, I want to be really clear, and we want to be clear that the roots are staying the same. So our purpose is still largely the same. The focus on quality and sustainability is still the same, and our commitment to reducing burden and enabling data use is still the same. What is different is the season and this future opportunity to grow. The slide is really to connect two ideas. So I get to connect these ideas back to Audrey. She'll talk more about technical assistance, but this idea of technical assistance and data integration really go hand in hand. So we're not talking about just a single tool or a single system when we talk about data integration. We're talking about how data moves across those systems, across the teams, and what happens when those pieces don't line up, right? So in many states, IDEA data might live in a fragmented system supported by multiple, maybe not connected processes. So they're collected in one place, they get validated somewhere else. Maybe they need to be changed or transformed again and reported in a different way. So the same data get touched multiple times, often using different rules and assumptions. So that's exactly what can happen when you don't have data integration. It increases a burden for staff. You have a higher risk of poor quality data and less time to essentially use it, right? Because so much effort goes into getting them ready to report. So data integration really can help change that. And when those systems and processes are aligned, the intent is for the data to flow more predictably. So definitions are key to that, and those are shared. The business rules are applied consistently, and the validation or the checking of that data can happen earlier. So that is what we believe leads to higher quality data and less rework for you all. Again, so you can focus more on the timely, meaningful use of that information. This is where technical assistance really comes in and really matters. So good technical assistance can help you all identify where integration could help reduce some of that friction or help align systems and make reporting work broader for support that broader data use. So kind of with that framing in mind, now I get to turn it over to Audrey, who is going to walk through CIID's technical assistance approach.
Thanks so much, Emily, and thank you so much for framing our mission and our work. So the things that are not changing about our technical assistance is that our technical assistance is state-centered. Our primary objective with all of our TA interactions is to meet your state agencies where they are. That means wherever you and your state education agency or lead agency is on your data integration journey, and whatever your current priorities for IDEA data integration work encompass, our TA providers will support your work and connect you with resources designed to help you with data governance and effectively implementing these changes. It also means that we are working on focusing your voices, working in communities to build shared ownership in this work, whether that be within your agency or with partners across the country as we come together to learn from one another's work. We know how much different agencies can vary in the ways they work together, and we want to help support all sides of that equation to ensure that this complex work results in a more streamlined system and better data quality overall. Our aim is for this support to be personable and for customized documentation to be created to ensure that your efforts are sustainable, because that really is the whole point here. Move on to our next slide. So with that in mind, we offer differentiated levels of technical assistance. Our universal technical assistance is largely made up of self-directed resources like this webinar, but also includes our website, which is coming soon. Universal TA includes newsletters, tools, and resources, and generate documentation, which you'll hear more about in a little bit. Our targeted TA is all about structured group supports. This will include the new Data Bridge Summit, which will be in-person meetings for groups to come together to discuss data integration. Kelly will speak more about this later. Our targeted TA also includes support for Generate, which is our common education data standards-based software solution for integrating data and producing EdFacts reports for IDEA Part B and beyond. This TA includes office hours and our Generate Governance Group, the group that provides governance support for Generate. We're also planning on having cohort-based work groups around particular topics supporting states' IDEA data integration efforts and for states who are in similar points in their data integration journey. Our intensive TA level, we offer highly customized multi-year support for data integration projects. These projects seek to modernize IDEA Part B reporting states using Generate and the Common Education Data Standards. In them, we work with Part B data managers and technical staff, providing supports for cross-agency data governance and collaboration, and create state-specific resources and documentation to help states reach their goals in a sustainable manner. The quotes you've seen are some of the quotes from our state partners who have been doing work in the Part B space. Topics for this intensive level of TA include project management support, data governance, communication, sustainability, and privacy. Move to the next slide. So within all of our levels of TA, our end goal is for all that we do to build capacity for states. We want to ensure that by implementing data standards, improving data governance, and supporting more effective cross-agency coordination, that there will be structures in place so that state staff feel more confident in their data processes and data quality and can therefore spend more time and effort on better data use. It's really all about the kids. And of course, this leads us into sustainability. As capacity and data quality is increased across the agency, we work to ensure that these efforts are sustainable over time. In the event of staff turnover or changes that naturally happen for a multitude of reasons, we work with you to give you the tools to handle those changes and to keep this work running from year to year. And now to talk to us a little bit more about the tools we've developed over our 11 years of experience with this work and the use for Generate and the tools that we use for the implementation of Generate, I'll hand things over to Gina.
So we're going to look a little bit deeper into what the Generate application is, and also talk about the Common Education Data Standards and how Generate utilizes that as its base solution. And we're going to look a little bit around the documentation and how that helps improve governance and privacy, and talk about some of those. So if we could go ahead to the next slide. So Generate is a work in progress, as you've heard. Some of you have been with us since we've been developing Part B reporting, but now some of you are new, and I want to explain a little bit more about how Generate works. There's really three main components in the data flow for Generate to simplify this as much as possible. We have the state's data systems, and we have the CEDS data warehouse and the Generate application. And this is the CEDS data warehouse is actually integrated with the Generate application, and it's where the data is processed and the data is producing the EdFacts report files. Generate is a SQL database, and it contains the CEDS data warehouse format, and it also lives in the states or agencies ecosystem. So it lives either on-prem on your servers, or maybe in the cloud, however you guys are operating in your ecosystem. Generate developers have helped states develop the code that extracts, transforms, and loads the data from the data sources into Generate. This is also known as the ETL process. Once the data has been moved from the source systems into Generate, the built-in migration processes move the data through the data warehouse and into the report layer. I know this, I'm simplifying it. We've done a lot of work over the 11 years to get to where we are now, and I want to just expand on that a little bit. So these processes have been developed to be improved over time, so that now what we can offer is a one-button migration. So what that means is that once the ETL has been developed and the data from the source systems is now in Generate, you can push a button and it'll move from the source all the way through the migration processes into the report layer. The Generate application has many features, such as the drill down capability to unpack the aggregated counts who the students are that make up those counts. And so this allows you a little transparency right in the application to see what students are in those counts. It also includes real-time error checking and validation results during the migration process that you're able to see right on the screen. So as the data is migrating, and once it's completed, you're able to check and see what has, if there was any errors or any issues that have come up during that process. We're trying to provide as much transparency as we can to the user. This also has the ability to download data in multiple formats. And so you can download in tab delimited, comma delimited, and also in those drill down screens, you can download them as Excel. And that's really helpful when you're working with coordinators and you're trying to understand what data is behind those counts. Four of the advantages, there's many, but four of the advantages that Generate offers is we have a lot of built-in utilities that help manage, compare results, and test the data. There are built-in validation rules that give insights into the data issues or errors throughout the whole migration process. There is also the ability to expand report opportunities that go beyond the EdFacts reporting. For example, you could utilize the data warehouse standards and build analytic reports utilizing a variety of different BI tools. Another advantage is the specification change management. So the Generate team reviews and collaborates with all the different stakeholders to implement the EdFacts changes and either new requirements or rules. This helps keep the reporting in Generate up to date. And what this does for states and agencies is it reduces the duplicative work that they need to do for these changes, because Generate manages that for you. So now I want to go a little bit into the documentation. So if we go to the next slide. We have really taken documentation as a pride of what we can offer with Generate. We continue to build out and improve documentation in what we call in the product called Gitbook. We approach documentation as a living document, and what that means is that we evaluate this documentation and update it with each release of Generate. And Generate's released anywhere from 3 to 4 times a year. So we're constantly reviewing the documentation and keeping it up to date and providing updates based off of feedback from different stakeholders. Some of the highlights in our documentation is easy user guide navigation, because it matches the navigation within Generate. So it helps you stay intact with what's on the screen and then what's in the documentation. We also have simplified the development guide navigation, as it also matches the flow of the data and order of operation that the data goes through the migration process. So as the data flows through from the source all the way to the report layer, you're going to find those same steps easily found in the guides that we provide in the documentation. We also include real code examples. So you can copy the code, paste it, run it, and it's going to provide you some test scenarios. It's going to help you look at the data validation. This is another form of us being transparent of how you could really utilize the tools and utilities that we provide. So we also have a number of utilities that we provide. And for example, we have a utility called the file comparison, and that helps you compare your legacy data files that you provided previously through your legacy system with the files that are now being through Generate, to really help you understand if there's any issues or differences. We also have a utility that creates a snapshot. So for example, some data is reusable, like the directory data, and so you can create a snapshot of that directory data and use it as part of the migration flow throughout your other reports, and not have to always go back to the source system. There's cleanup table utilities, all kinds of different utilities that we provide, and we also build these out based off of feedback that we're getting from the stakeholders, so that we're always thinking about what we can do to make things easier for everyone else. Another thing that's included in this documentation is the smart search capabilities, so it makes it a little easier for you to find exactly what you're looking for. And last but not least is that this is all open source. And so what that means for you is that Generate code and the documentation itself is all found in the open source community. And that will help you to see what's behind the scenes. Basically, in the code, you can collaborate with other states or agencies to think of ways to maybe improve or expand the code. We're always open to those conversations. And then for the documentation piece, I have several states that are actually utilizing the structure that we've created in Gitbook and building out their own documentation in their environments. And so it could be used in a wiki, it could be used in DevOps, it could even be just transposed and saved as a Word document, wherever you guys are at in your development of documentation. So what we do is we help create and expand documentation for any of the states or agencies that we work with. And during this documentation phase that we provide with the teams, especially in the intense TA support, is we help identify any timelines that are important to the states and agencies, data quality checks in the state systems throughout the whole entire migration process. We help document business rules and roles and responsibilities all along the way. And we also identify subject matter experts and utilize and call on them when it's important. So we have a variety of different things that we can dive into later, but this gives you, I think, a high level of what Generate does and provides, and also the documentation. So I think next what I'm doing is I am turning this over to Kelly, and Kelly's going to talk about the new and expanded scope.
Thank you, Gina. And my conversation is really directed to the people who are brand new to CIID, especially the Part C people, but also Part B. Part C CIID is really a new TA center. It's not being billed as a new TA center in our marketing campaign here, but it really is. We are entering the Part C space that already has a lot of groundwork done in data governance, data standards discussions, some Data tools have already been developed to prepare data for data submission, IDEA data for data submission. We've had a lot of conversations about data sharings, memorandums of understanding, privacy. The topics could go on, but I want to emphasize CIID and Emily, I believe, already mentioned this. CIID is all about data integration. And we talked about, do we have a common understanding of what data integration even means? And this is my simple speak for what data integration means. And this is also borrowed from the DAISY. DAISY has a whole glossary of all these terms that they have been working on in Part C space. But it's the technology and the processes that are used to combine and manage data that are in a variety of sources. So pretty basic stuff. We are doing data integration every single day. But just think of technology and processes to combine and manage information. And I want to add in here that how we enter the space, how CIID enters the space, the Part C space, is really important to me because there has been so much groundwork laid. We are going to build on the existing knowledge. We're going to leverage the information and the products and tools that have already been developed. We want to be value add in the technical assistance network. And that's also consistent with the expectations of our funding and our grant award. We are expected to build good products and provide good services to the Part C community. And I'm talking specifically about Part C because that's my area. We want to see results. We want you to be able to say, my state has better sustainable practices, better documentation, more data integration, wherever you are on the continuum. We want to make sure that through our work that you can say there's some real evidence of change here. And I want to talk, Emily already talked about the risks of poor data integration. And I want to just emphasize that, again, we do data integration all the time. And whether it's through our management of data for infants and toddlers with disabilities and their families, or whether it's our own personal lives. And I'm working on taxes right now and receiving tax forms from my former employer, from my current employer, getting all that stuff compiled and getting it to my husband, who's going to be entering it into our tax return information. We are integrating information across many sources to come to hopefully an accurate answer about what was the state of our finances or what's happening with kids with disabilities in our programs and communities and states. So the risk of having poor quality data or fragmented systems, or for me losing forms, or for me not getting them to the pile where my husband keeps the tax forms, it's all the same when we're looking at our state data systems or local data systems, whether it's program service provider, state, it doesn't matter. Just think about that integration as this is the practical utility of merging information together so that we decrease burden, so that we have good relationships with the other people who are feeding information to us or who we are feeding information to, that we have high quality data, and that we just decrease our time dealing with the data challenges, and we are spending more time on using that data. So Taylor, if you can go to the next slide, please. So just from some basics here, the Part C stakeholder gatherings that we will be doing this year, and I'll talk in just a minute about what you can really expect for 2026, or a little bit later we'll talk about that. But we're going to be doing a couple of Part C stakeholder gatherings that we will be building on the knowledge that's already there. The Data Bridge Summit, we've got a date identified. We don't have the people all identified. We are still working on what that agenda will be. Part of that is simply because what we are learning about what the other TA centers have already have already established in this area, and we do hope to do that collaboratively with other TA centers contributing to that. Part of it will be our partners officially on the CIID grant, and also others who have similar responsibilities in this Part C space. So at our goal, we will increase knowledge about data standards and data integration. Why do they matter? We're going to be working towards a complete set of data elements in the Common Education Data Standards that are useful for IDEA Part C reporting. We will be long-term developing tools that states can use to automate the generation of IDEA Part C data files to submit to the U.S. Department of Education, because we are about IDEA data. And as Emily mentioned, already. We are not operating in a vacuum here. You know, the data about kids with disabilities, they're much bigger than just IDEA data, but our focus, our grant, our funding is related to IDEA data collection and reporting. So we will keep bringing it back to that. As I mentioned, we will be working in collaboration with the TA centers that are in the Part C space. You will see us doing joint meetings. You will probably see us doing joint technical assistance. You will see us striving to not duplicate or replicate work that has already been done. So since I am new to the CIID community, my request is if you see us duplicating or doing something that could be building on work that has already been done, please point that out to us so that we don't ask you the same question you've already been asked. The tools that we will be building, we will be using the strategy, the platform, I guess, that we already have. But we want to make sure that when we work with you, we strengthen what you already have happening, we build what you need, and that we are supporting your state to increase the capacity related to your data management needs, including timely data submissions, timely and accurate. Okay, the next slide, please, Saley. Okay, so I've already mentioned this. For 2026, our focus is really going to be for Part C in knowledge development, deepening our evidence about the tangible benefits of data integration, building a common understanding about what are we talking about when we are talking about data standards, establishing groundwork for Part C tools and services, and that's really, if for lack of a better term, it's building the requirements for our Part C terms. We are going to be working on the relationship building, just entering the Part C community using our partners partly for that, and working within our existing TA network. So we're going to be coordinating, collaborating with, I've already said that I think multiple times here, but I'm just going to keep on saying it. I think we can go on, Taylor. Next slide. Oh, and I'm sorry, I'm passing it on to Emily here.
Thanks, Kelly. So we're going to dive a little more deeply into what's new or deeper. And when we talk about this iteration of CIID, it's important to just sort of remember that this isn't really a change of direction, but it's more about building more fully on what we know has been working. So the foundation is essentially the same, but some of this work, as Kelly just talked about, has matured. We've expanded. We're moving into Part C. So as new processes or systems take hold and become more established, such as happened in the Part B space for us on CIID, there's an opportunity now for us to go further, both technically and in, again, the folks that we can serve. We're really focused, I think, in this grant cycle around strengthening some of those connections between Part B and C systems. Some of you have a connection there, some of you don't. And I know many states have made great progress in improving kind of the IDEA reporting process in Part B. And so we also want to build on that progress to maybe include some Part C pieces or include some data sharing between those two systems or two groups. You'll also see a deeper emphasis on governance, documentation, and privacy as sort of core infrastructure. So clear decision-making structures. Those of you who know me know I am a data governance guru. The idea of shared definitions, documented processes. These are things that I've already sort of mentioned earlier, but it really is the proven industry standard of what allows systems to be more stable and reliable as staff or leadership or requirements change. So in this phase of the work, those elements sit even more squarely in the center of the next iteration of CIID. And then finally, kind of another deeper area of focus is how our tools and resources will really be designed to evolve over time, right? Rather than one-time solutions, we're really continuing to invest in approaches that can adapt or be more responsive to specification changes, modernization efforts, or extending practices for like new reports or new reporting needs. So this idea of sustainability is also kind of a deeper focus for CIID in this new version. So we're really shaped by what we've learned in terms of what actually lasts. And we're really looking forward to expanding that to the next level. You can go to the next slide. So we've talked a lot about both what we have done previously and will continue to do, as well as what we're looking to expand upon or do more deeply. So next, we're going to take a look at what this might mean for you. So first, I'll turn it over to Audrey.
Thank you, Emily. So if we can move along to the next slide, we will start with what these changes mean for you if you were continuing to work with CIID on Part B data integration, if you're a returning state. The engagement should be similar if you're a current CIID state. We're here to support you with the same state-specific TA teams structured to meet your needs. In year one, we are focusing on helping you to meet your current goals, improving your state's documentation, ensuring that we are co-creating project plans to meet your goals. This looks different based on where you are in your journey and how you work. Gina reviewed our book documentation, and we're beginning to use that as a template for custom documentation for your state to include communications planning at every step of the way. The format of the Git book allows us to use it in your environment, whether you use a Git environment, Wiki, ClickUp, April, I saw you in the chat, or even a good old-fashioned Word document. We're also working to ensure that your project plan reflects steps that are relevant to your teams and are formatted in a way that is clear. We will also have more tailored pathways. We've supported states who have worked a lot on architecture or governance before we've started to get Generate installed, and we hope to continue those explorations even as we're beginning to branch out into new territory with the Part C teams. So if you are thinking through how your system architecture is going to look or what your data governance processes are, we're still here to support that. We also intend to have more peer learning, so be on the lookout if you're a current CIID state for an invitation to join us for an open source community office hour style discussion about the DIM people current table. This will be a highly technical discussion of how Generate will use this table to deduplicate students and ensure more accurate reporting. If you're a G3 member, you should have already received an invitation, and we will be sending a wider invitation to current technical contacts for states who are implementing Generate soon. So if any of this has sparked your interest, feel free to contact your state's TA lead for more information. But we also want to be sure to encourage coordination across TA centers. Our new partners with DAISY are eager to jump in, and we're also happy to help with the updating of data processes to ensure that the technical ETL processes are included, and will give everyone involved with the data collection a better idea of the steps and timelines involved. With our new scope, our work is about becoming more flexible to support different pathways as you work toward integrated data. We're dedicated to meeting you where you are. So if you have questions, again, please don't hesitate to reach out. And I think, and we're also working on more tool development as we expand out documentation and integrate the data integration toolkit into the wider Gitbook documentation. So we're excited for all of these changes so that we can move forward together. And now, Emily, I'll pass it along to you to talk about states that are new to CIID.
Thanks, Audrey. First of all, if you are new to CIID and you're joining one of our webinars for the first time, we're really glad you're here. Being new to CIID doesn't mean that you're behind or that you need to catch up on years of history before you can engage with us. We're really, as Audrey just sort of described, we're designed so states can enter at different points with different needs and hopefully still find the work that we can help you with relevant and accessible. So first off and foremost, what we really focus on is trying to provide clarity for you all. This is around shared language, common understanding, gosh, common education data standards maybe are in there, and a clear picture, hopefully, that we can help you with to clear up maybe some pictures of how your IDEA data systems do or maybe aren't fitting together. So we can help you with how your different systems interact, and maybe where some practical improvements could help reduce effort and remove some confusion that would be long lasting. You can also expect an emphasis on really practical, usable resources. We prioritize approaches that are hopefully well documented. You all can help be the judge of that. Transparent and certainly reusable, so that you're not sort of starting from scratch and you're not dependent on, your institutional memory that sometimes can disappear when staff change. So another thing that's really important to know about CIID is that we're really not built around a single role or a single office. You've heard from our technical assistance lead, co-directors. We brought in Gina, who's a technical developer. We really recognize that the IDEA data touch different programs, data teams, and technical staff alike. So our goal is to really help you all create shared understanding across those roles, so that systems can function as systems and not disconnected parts. And finally, for states that are new to CIID, our intent is for your engagement with us to be manageable and flexible. So there's multiple ways to connect with the center. You might recall Audrey's slide on the different levels of technical assistance, and you can really start small. So joining this webinar is a great example. More exploring on our new website, and certainly identifying your own priorities potentially before committing with us to any deeper work. So really the takeaway here is simple. We are designed to meet you where you're at. We want to support the kind of data systems that you want to have in place for the long term. And if you don't even know what that might look like, we can help you with that too. You certainly don't need to have everything figured out. You just need to have a place to start, and that's what we're here for. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Kelly.
Thank you. Speaking of simple here, I'm just going to describe real quickly what to expect for Part C supports and services. In Part C 2026, there's going to be a really narrow range of technical assistance that we're going to be able to offer. Universal technical assistance, webinars, products that we develop, just general information. We also have a newsletter that I didn't mention previously, but I think that may have been mentioned by somebody else. We've got newsletters and different things. We will be doing some targeted work with smaller groups of states, and I mentioned the Data Bridge Summit. But behind the scenes, we're going to be working on data standards for IDEA Part C data submissions and making sure that we've got Part C well represented in the data standards that we've got, the data standards tools. We're going to start the development work, or I'm saying development work, it's probably not the right term, building the requirements needed for our Part C submission tools. So we'll be doing that in the background. But one thing to just remember that we're working on data integration. Everything we do, it's technology and processes used to combine and manage data that are in a variety of sources. So pulling information together and doing it as efficiently as possible. For Part B, it's going to be a little bit different, as we've already described, or Audrey shared a little earlier. We've got a full range of technical assistance that will be available to the Part C states, or Part B states. Part C is just going to enter into that just a little bit slower. All right, Emily, I believe you are up next.
There we go. Had to find my mute. Yes, thank you, Kelly. We talked a little bit about that, but I wanted to have a slide here. This is also a great time. I know many of you are putting some questions into the chat as we go, but if we can go ahead and start to take questions now as well. I'd also say that as you're thinking about questions and looking at this, how to engage and what's next, we did mention earlier at the beginning that we would have an evaluation that would be great for you all to fill out for us. It should take less than 3 minutes. I believe we're going to drop that link in the chat. We'll also have a slide for that in a minute, but we did want to save some time for you all to be able to complete that, to give us important feedback on the value of this webinar and the information within it. So Engaging with us can happen in a number of different ways. Several of these were hopefully already mentioned, but I'll say them again. We will continue to have additional webinars, of which we will notify folks via our listserv. And we'll also be posted links to register for those in our on our newly soon to be released website. I was really hopeful it would be live today. Looks like maybe tomorrow or Monday. So again, some follow-up communication from us to you all. Right now, thank you, Taylor. You can join our mailing list from the link that Taylor just provided in the chat as well. And we'll be including folks who attended today in our upcoming newsletter. So we do have a newsletter that we send out regularly that Kelly just mentioned. We'll be sure to include folks who attended today on our newsletter list. You can always opt out later, but I wouldn't recommend it. We also have direct TA requests. You can email us directly at the email link that's provided in the chat as well, CIID TA. We hope to see you all at a couple of other opportunities, whether that is a in-person Data Bridge Summit that Kelly mentioned in May, maybe at the OSEP Data Conference in August, or at other conferences or places that we may get to interact with you all in person. But certainly no shortage of places to find us. So Taylor, if you want to click again, I'll just remind folks that we are happy to take any questions in the chat. Yeah, and you can go ahead and go to the evaluation slide as well. We'll give folks so questions. And again, if it's easier for you to use that QR code to hop on our survey. And if you type your questions into the chat, we will read them out loud.
Hi, thank you for the question on the data summit. As I mentioned, we just developed a draft on it. Right now, the focus on it will be for a subset of Part C states who are really interested in integrating data, something within their system. They've got the will and they've got the interest, so that's a good starting point. We're going to be talking through what is data governance, what is data integration, what is data linking, and kind of reviewing what's the information that we already know about the overall state of Part C. We'll be working with Child Trends and DAISY and others on the state of the states, on data governance, data integration, data definitions, who's got all that stuff. And then we're also going to be coming up with some exercises that we'll do that will support the building of the tools that we will eventually have. So it's going to be identifying what are your pain points in managing your data, whether it's at your local program level for Part C, whether it's at service provider, if it's about entering data into a system, if it's about the quality of the information, if it's about accessing information once it goes into one place and you never see it again. It doesn't matter what the need is. We're going to be talking about what are your pain points about managing your data for infants and toddlers with disabilities. So I'm sorry I didn't have an agenda that I could just drop in here and share with you. That's our general thinking. We do anticipate having a kind of a workshop opportunity where we're able to gather virtually with that group that will be participating in the summit. And then we'll do the summit, and then we'll have a post-summit either webinar or another smaller group, I guess, opportunity to plan out our future work. So a whole lot of it is making sure that we are on the right track for our tools and products and services for the Part C community. Did I, Emily, or Audrey, anything else you would add or correct from what I just shared?
Oh, it's exactly it. Again, we're still fleshing out that the specific details, but that's the high level. Yeah. And I'll just, there were a few questions in the chat about some more specifics around Generate, whether or not my state uses Generate. I think we've answered most of those, and some folks who were asking some more technical questions about that tool. We're happy to follow up. If you find that maybe you didn't ask that specific question, but you are interested in some more technical information, or, you know, what does it really take to use Generate in my state, or is my state using it? Feel free to enter that in the chat. We can certainly follow up afterwards, or you can email us at CIDTA@aemcorp.com as well. Good question, Doris.
Sorry.
Go ahead,
Say
Kelly.
your question about virtual in person. The data summit will be in person. We will be providing travel for people who are going, for the states who would be attending. So if you're interested, we'd love to just go ahead and reach out and let us know. And if there's a request for virtual data summits later on, I guess that would be good input for us to hear also. It's designed to be kind of an intensive opportunity for us to really work together and move about a room and do some joint work and joint discussions. So it's just more conducive to in person, but I'd certainly be willing to consider virtual in the future. And I just added the location in there. It's the May 7th one will be in Reston, Virginia. And that's easily accessible through the DC airports, Washington, DC airports.
Well, I think appreciate you all hopefully entering in to the evaluation. We certainly want to say thank you. We appreciate everybody's time and attendance today, and hopefully you have learned maybe something you didn't know about CIID, or certainly something new about our expanded scope and our the season of change here. We look forward to seeing you all and working with you all again in the very near future. So thank you so much.